Hello everybody. Today I'm going to give you a quick presentation called From Einstein to Monkeys, Insights or Learnings from Successful Leaders. I'm Sebastian with that complicated family name, so I dare you to try and pronounce that complicated name. I've been at Google for 15 years and I work in the Google Developer Relations team. I manage teams across Africa and India and the Middle East, and I also manage a bunch of other programs. Beyond Google, I love photography, I love writing, I love reading. I also started practicing the skateboard 2 or 3 years ago. I started learning to play the ukulele during the pandemic that all of us have most likely experienced. But before anything else, and before I get started with that presentation, I'd like to thank you for all your contributions as GDSC leads over the past year. Thank you. I'd like to take a moment to just thank you because I have followed your contributions, thanks to my team who have reported and shown examples of the great stuff that you've been doing. So let me get started with 6 insights that I'd like to share with you from successful leaders. Now, quiz time. I'm not with you right now, and I'm sorry for that. So we'll still try to do a quiz, even if I'm asynchronous giving this presentation. Now, who do you think this person is on this slide? I'm sure you've seen tons of quotes attributed to him on social media, or maybe they're not even really from that person. So this is Einstein, as you know, the great physics researcher from the 20th century. And there's one thing that's very interesting with Einstein, and that is that he produced a lot of papers, of research papers. Do you know how many? How many actually got published by Einstein? More than 200, that's correct. There's about 240 papers that Einstein has produced, but he's only known for just a small selection of these papers. So that shows that sometimes quality does come with quantity. Produce a lot of ideas, improve on your previous ideas to keep improving the quality of whatever you're going to come up with. Even the best and the greatest, like Einstein, need to work extensively to finally provide something meaningful to the world. So either you contribute something meaningful to the world or to your community, it doesn't matter. The point is, produce a lot, try a lot, don't worry about failure. We've all been there. Number 2, the second point I'd like to make to you. Now, do you recognize this? This is one of the very first planes that have ever existed, built by the Wright brothers. And my point through this slide is that it doesn't always make sense to be first. It depends. Sometimes when you want to build a social media website, it could make sense to be first to attain critical mass. But with examples of the Wright brothers and their plane, well, there's no company called after their name today. Boeing and Airbus and other big airplane manufacturers have nothing to do in terms of the connection with the Wright family or the Wright brothers. So sometimes it's great to have ideas, but sometimes it's just a little bit too early. What's more important is what can you do to be better, to create something more original than the previous guy or the previous girl who has provided something to the world. So think about what you can do to be better or different. It's not always important to be first. My third point that I like to share with you, and that's the following one, that it is that procrastination that we all experience is okay, but under one condition. Can you guess what that condition is? Now, if you can type in the chat box, go ahead. I'll wait for a few seconds to see if you know what that condition is. What allows you to procrastinate without any consequence? In fact, it has actually a benefit. Now, the condition is that you get started. Now, let me explain. You have to do something. Let's say you build a plan for your community, you have some project work at university or for your next job, and you're just lazy or you procrastinate, you think it's too hard. Now, here's the trick. Start thinking about it a little bit. Start maybe with a draft. Don't finish it. And then there's a magical thing. Your brain, it will keep thinking whether you like it or not, even when you sleep, when you shower, when you do something else. So take advantage of that. Start with an idea, let your brain do the work, come back to it later on, and you'll have even more ideas. In fact, it has the additional benefit of keeping you open-minded to feedback. If you're a bit like me and you like to finish things very quickly, well, sometimes the problem with that is that if someone else comes along and provides you with some pieces of advice or feedback, well, you've finished your task. You don't really want to have more feedback. So procrastination actually can be quite good, but under that condition that you actually get started before carrying on a bit later on. I'd like to share one more idea here. That's my idea number 4. I'll do a summary at the end. Don't worry, there are only 6 learnings, and then I'll encourage you to do something else after this presentation. And the 4th idea is to get exposed to different cultures, different ideas. You can travel to do that. You can travel even to a different state within India. As you know, the north is very different from the south, the east from the west. There are different religions in India. It's different to be a man or a woman. It's different to be a developer, back-end developer from a front-end developer, to do user experience, to do marketing. So try to put yourself in the shoes of different users to see what their perspective is. This will help you a lot in terms of developing your creativity and being inclusive of the different and the variety of users and customers that exist out there on the planet. I'd like to play another little game with you. Here's an interesting representation of a movie. So in this case, on the left-hand side, what you can see here is a famous movie, and you take every single frame of that film and you represent it by the color, the predominant or the average color of that frame. And then you do the same for every single frames in that movie, all the way from the top to the bottom. Now, can you guess what movie it is on the left? All right, I'll give you a few seconds. Come on, try and guess it. Add your guesses in the chat box. 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The greenish and black tint is the Matrix. Correct for those who have guessed the Matrix. I have another guess for you here. Which one do you think this is? Another 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is Spider-Man, the movie. So the point here is to show that you can have different perspectives on things, get exposed to different ideas, so you come up with an original way of representing a movie. Now, who would have thought of taking the average color of a frame? I find this very interesting. I'm sure some of you have recognized one or both of these films just by the representation of the average colors of each frame. Isn't that interesting? Okay, I know you want to play, so I have 2 more for you. Which one do you think this one is on the left-hand side of this slide? 5 seconds again. Come on. Put your guesses in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The film here is The Martian. The Martian. And this one, final one, and then we have to carry on with my idea number 5, learning number 5. 5 seconds to guess this one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And this is Frozen. All right, enough of the game. Let's carry on. I'm going to show you monkeys. I said the presentation was from Einstein to monkeys. So here we are with monkeys. Why am I showing monkeys? It's because I want to encourage you to challenge assumptions. Challenge assumptions how? Well, let me share this real story of an experiment. You have 5 monkeys in a room, you have a ladder. At the top of the ladder, you have a basket of bananas. The first monkey tries to get to the bananas by climbing up the ladder. But before he can reach the bananas, a mad scientist is pouring cold water with a hose on that monkey, who, of course, runs down the ladder without having grabbed the banana and is scared of the consequences of that cold water. Next stage in the experiment. You remove one of the monkeys remaining, one of the 5 monkeys. You replace them with a monkey who has not seen the experiment. And you do that experiment over and over until all the monkeys have been replaced one by one. What happens after the 5th monkey has been replaced? You have 5 monkeys who have never seen the water, and they just stay at the bottom of the ladder. They're afraid of something that they have never seen. They don't go and grab the bananas, even though one time, maybe, indeed, a mad scientist was pouring cold water, but none of these 5 monkeys experienced it. So, I didn't say break the law. I said challenge assumptions. So, think about that when you see customs and traditions, ones that maybe are blocking some specific groups of society, women, or some specific cultural groups or religious minorities. You may want to think of, again, how you can be more inclusive, challenge assumptions in different ways of approaching problems. That's just one example. You're under no obligation to remain the same person. This is a quote by Richard Feynman, another very famous physicist of the 20th century. You're here to create yourself continuously, so don't hesitate any day. Any day. Can be your birthday, can be the first day of the year, can be Diwali, can be Holi. Any day of the year is a good day to start and reinvent yourself, to be a new person, to become someone new and more creative. In fact, this is what I'd like to share with you. One thing that you can do after being a GDSC lead is to join one of the other Google programs. It can be Google, it can be another one. You probably have heard of these ones, the Google Developer Group, Women Tech Makers, becoming a GDE, an expert. So there's really tons of things you can help, or you can contribute further to the community. Now, why does this matter? Because meaning can take various forms. I want you to join a community because it brings meaning, not because it will necessarily advance your career. Yes, it may advance your career. Yes, maybe it will help you join Google one day or another big tech company or another big company, but don't do it only for that reason. Do it because you want to connect with others. Do it because you want to have a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose, or even to expand your range of skills. You want to organize an event. You want maybe organize something across multiple cities in India. Why not? So think about that. Don't do it for only your career or thinking that it may get you into Google. It may not. Do it because you sincerely, genuinely want to be involved and contribute just like you have done over the past year. So this is my final message here. Join for meaning. Join a community. Continue the great work you have done so far by joining another community. So in summary, lead by example. I've mentioned 6 things. Number 1, produce a lot of ideas. Don't be afraid of failure. Number 2, it's not always about being first. It's about doing better or being a bit different. Number 3, it's okay to procrastinate as long as you get started. Number 4, explore different ideas. Be culturally open-minded. Put yourself in the shoes of other people. Number 5, remember the monkeys? Challenge assumptions. And number 6, join for meaning. Compare yourself to the person you were yesterday, not to other people around you. You are not those people. Everyone progresses at a different rate. Everyone has different motivations in life. So don't let anyone else make you feel left behind. You're not left behind. You build your own path. You probably don't even know where you're going just yet. I don't know what I want to do next. And I've been working for the past 20 years, more than 20 years. So instead, what I encourage you to do is to start meaningful experiments. One experiment is, for instance, to try to join or organize another community. That's one example. And I hope in the next presentation that you'll get today, you'll be exposed to some other communities that you can possibly join. So I want to thank you, Dhanyavad, and you can email me personally. This is my personal email address, india@seb247.com. And don't hesitate. I'm always trying to respond to every email I get. So thank you very much for your attention and best of luck in your journey as leaders. Bye-bye.